Thank you for tuning into this day's episode. So today I have a guest with me here inside of Teep Studios in the Black Room. She is a native Phoenician and also a becoming amateur fighter. I trained with her also when my knee hasn't been bunk. And I have seen her come up through the ranks through amateur and competing, and we were getting to talking. And some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today as well, it could be triggering for people who have experienced sexual abuse or violence abuse. So I want to make sure just to give you a heads up that if you're somebody that's experiencing that right now, I'll make sure to put a phone number down in the bio for you to seek any help or resources, but just want to get that heads up. So if that's triggering to you at all, please feel free to exit the episode now. But if you have what it takes and you want to get in, I'm going to introduce you Miss Calie Patrick. Calie.
Episode of the Pu'u Muay Thai Podcast is brought to you by pmtlifestyle.com. Authentic Muay Thai lifestyle by Pu'u. Definitely go check out the website at pmtlifestyle.com for some awesome lifestyle merchandise. That's for those of you out there either involved in Muay Thai, looking at getting involved in Muay Thai, and embrace a healthier lifestyle to live the life of the Nok Muay. Go check it out.
I want to talk about Black Room at Teep Studios. If you enjoy the content of this podcast, you will definitely enjoy the value that you get out of the Black Room and being a member of the Black Room. What it is it's a subscriber-based way to support the podcast. If you enjoy the podcast and want it to continue, I'm asking for your help. And in exchange, you're going to get an underground view of Muay Thai, American Muay Thai, as well as within Thailand. We have people who are now working on the ground in Thailand that are helping us get media, content, all that stuff. We're posting it there on Black Room, as well as behind-the-scenes footage of the podcast recordings when we're recording. After I stop recording for stuff that we broadcast, we put some subscriber-based only content on there. So you're going to really get a lot of value out of that subscription. Okay, it's not just supporting the podcast. We also have podcast subscriber-only merchandise that's coming out as well here in 2024. So you have to be a part of the Black Room in order to get access to that. So I'm asking you for your help on that. But I know that it's not so much of you helping me. It's going to be us giving you a ton of value that you're going to get and just enjoy it. And it's only $5 a month. All right, you can cancel it anytime. Every little bit counts. Please go join it. The link is down in the show notes. All right. Anyways, sit back and enjoy the show. So, Calie, 25 years old, right?
Yes.
All right. Cool. So, Calie, tell me about how did you get started in martial arts?
Gosh, okay. So I got started about 10 years ago, and I was in Surprise, Arizona. I had a friend introduce me into...
For people that don't know Surprise, where is that?
Okay, that's more west side of Arizona.
That's the name Surprise. People are...
For a reason. Yeah. There's nothing out there. Yeah. They're starting to come up with some stuff, but yeah, it's about 30, 45 minutes away from here. I was living over there during my elementary and high school years. So I had a friend introduce me to this local gym. Not really a dojo, but they did mixed martial arts. So they did kickboxing and Muay Thai and boxing and Jiu-Jitsu and all the things, So I started going, and I was about 15 years old when I started. I did the kids classes, and
how did you get started there, though? Was there was a friend that was training there?
Yeah, I had a friend who was training there at the time, and then she pulled me into the gym because of she just wanted me to learn how to defend myself. We were both going to the same school, and I went through some interesting things, and then she just kind of pulled me over. So
bullying stuff.
Yeah.
That is noble for especially teenagers, men too.
Everybody goes through it. Yeah, everybody goes through it. So she was like, dude, you need to know how to throw a punch and how to take a punch, So she brought me over, and we started training together, and I really loved it. I just kept going with it, and I had my first jiu-jitsu competition. Ended up having about 20 jiu-jitsu competitions in Naga, IBJJF. And...
So competitions, not jiu-jitsu fights, right?
Yes, matches, not...
Jiu-jitsu, yeah.
Specify.
one of the referees, Gustav, he was saying, because we were looking for an ambulance for one of the fights.
Yeah.
He's like, this is case in point why this is a fight. Jiu-Jitsu is a match.
It's a match.
Because you don't need an ambulance with lifesaver support to be there along with a doctor.
Yeah, you don't need anybody there. You got the hands for a reason. You're just tapping out.
Yeah.
There's no tapping out in Muay Thai, so.
I mean, like, you could take a knee and say I'm done.
You could, but you're not a Muay Thai fighter.
That's not going to happen. That's like...
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I kept doing it. I really loved it. My striking coach at the time, who oversaw like some of the studio operations of the gym, he wanted me to try the boxing and kickboxing, and I was terrified. I didn't want to do it. I had no choice though. He ended up making me do a class, and then he made me do a month just to try it because he was like, you need to learn how to really defend yourself. And it was just, obviously, martial arts still wasn't super popular for women to be in martial arts. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah, what year was this? What was it?
2014, 2015?
Just kind of starting.
Yeah.
Like when Ronda Rousey was just started coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there wasn't a lot of women who came into the gym and did these classes. So it was just a bunch of guys that I was training with, which was okay. Everybody had their different journey and wanted to do their own thing. There was some people who were serious about competing and some guys who were just going in to be in shape and try different activity. So I was falling somewhere in the middle. I kind of wanted to compete, but was too scared. And then I liked working out and I liked the classes, but I wanted a little bit more of the competitive side of it. So I ended up having my first, it was technically a boxing fight on a roll-in show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was a catastrophe. And I lost by a split decision, and I think I threw 3 spinning back fists in one round, and it was just crazy.
Where they were doing hands only or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what it was.
It was just some weird rule set.
Yeah.
So then I got done, and I wanted to fight again, and then I had my second fight for Rise of the Prospects out in Tucson. And I won that one in a TKO first round. And then I just kept going, So I was with that gym for maybe a couple years, 4 or 5 years, and then started switching around. So that was kind of how I brought up into martial arts.
Okay. Yeah. So which brought you to now you train Golden Era.
Mm-hmm.
You train Golden Era, Nick, Damien, Bob.
Yep.
Over there. So how long you been in Golden Era for?
About 3 years now.
3 years.
I want to say.
Awesome.
Yep.
So we're sitting down, we were talking a little bit the other day, and it was a topic that came up it's a pretty heavy one too. It's one that we were talking about, and it needs to be talked about, which is sexual abuse in combat sports.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and martial arts too. I was talking about is Jody Plitchett, or Planchett, who was molested by his karate instructor. He got kidnapped across the country.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. For anybody that's out there, it's why Jody. Was it not Jody? It was what's his dad's name? I'll think about it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but he is just, the whole scene that happened in that was the dad got in the same place, same time as the person who molested his child when he's being carried in custody and killed him.
Yeah.
On live TV too, nonetheless.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and there was a news press going.
I didn't know it was live.
Yeah, it was live while that was going on, and
yeah.
He turned around and there's a whole thing, but he was on the phone with somebody hey, he's here, I hear him, and they were trying to talk him out of not doing it. He's like, I'm gonna do it, and he turned around and headed the guy. So, which is honestly I understand it, and he was given a sentence that was very, I think today probably wouldn't have flown at all.
Yeah.
But so not to talk about that too much.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're a survivor of that too.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Yeah, so back in 2015 when I first started training, I was doing obviously the jiu-jitsu, and I had a kids coach who I'm not going to mention name or anything like that, but he was the striking coach and a jiu-jitsu coach at the same time, and he would kind of sub in for the jiu-jitsu, but was primarily striking. So
you were how old this time?
I was 15.
You're 15 years old.
I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was a minor, and I got to know this coach, and this coach became more of a mentor type of person to me, kind of what's the word, gravitated towards this coach a little bit more. And then he also helped to nurture like my skill set and my development as an athlete and a student in the sport. And he took a lot of his time to connect and give me a little bit more attention than the rest of the students, which at the time, like, nobody found alarming or anything. You know how he had like kids and a wife and everything.
Yeah.
So it was just,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It was crazy. So, yeah. And then, you know, gradually over time, things kind of led into more of a grooming, like, psychological relationship where instead of giving me special treatment for fighting, it became special treatment as a person. And that's when the lines started to be blurred a little bit.
So, like, what's like in a, do you mind sharing? Are you comfortable sharing?
Yeah, totally. So, you know, typically with coaches, if they see something like a potential in an athlete, right, they're going to spend a little bit more time trying to get you to see things in a certain way, whether that mean like they're going to continuously try to train with you or, you know, coach you through different like sparring or drilling techniques and spend a little bit extra time for you to understand that skill and be able to execute that skill, right? But he was doing that, and then on top of the personal side, like, he would just, you know, he would try to get my number and try to like build my confidence.
Is it trying to get your number, like your phone number? Okay, when you look, no, yeah, that's.
You feel a little weird about it, but then you're like, you know what? Maybe he's just trying to, like, you know,
mentor me.
Yeah, mentor me or something like that. So he's sending me like videos of Muay Thai clips and stuff, and adds me on Instagram and does the same thing and shares it. Like, you know how you can do collections in Instagram?
Yeah.
So he'll put together like a collections and send like videos and put it in the collections for us to like go back and look at those things. And then you know, when he did end up getting my number. And so then we would communicate and he would say like, hey, are you open to doing private sessions and training at the gym? And I didn't think of anything of it. I was just like, yeah, sure. Like, totally. What do you want to work on? He's like, well, these are the things I want to work with you if you're, you know, doing the striking stuff. So this was while I was transitioning from jiu-jitsu to like boxing.
Yeah, striking. Yeah.
Yeah. So he wants to teach me these things, and he's just like, yeah, you can come in before kids class and we'll open the gym up together and you can come in and practice and we'll work on these different things. So we did for months, and it was just strictly training. Like, there was no red flags in my mind about kind of what was going on.
Outside of the text messaging, a 15-year-old girl.
Right.
Married and teaching.
Exactly. Yes.
But that's a pretty big, like you said, looking back, now you know, right?
Yeah, totally.
For anybody that's out there and everything too, is the reason, part of the reason we're talking about sharing this too is like awareness for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, drawing in, like, showing the red flags and exploiting these different behavior patterns that happen that you should be looking out for as a part of, like, you know, whether you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a student,
or you're another coach.
You're a coach.
Yeah, and you see this, it's like, you know, there's other people around too, right?
Yeah, it can happen, like, certainly to another coach that's in that training environment that you maybe don't really know totally well, or even if you do know him, you know, this coach specifically was liked by all of our staff and all the other coaches, and, you know, nobody would have questioned that this guy would have the
justification.
Yes, yeah, totally. So yeah, and then it just started kind of gradually becoming worse and worse and worse. So another example that I'll kind of share on here is after one of my fights, it was actually the boxing fight after rolling. He was like, hey, you know, you did a really good job, I'm so proud of you, blah 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 blah. Let's start to resume our private training sessions, and we're going to work a little bit more on MMA. And I was like, oh, like, okay, that's new. That's different, you know? And so then he wanted to combine jiu-jitsu and striking together. And that's when it started to get even more worse. So he would text me some more videos, and then occasionally he would slide in like, hey, how's your day going? You know, different comments, and trying to just connect and build more of a relationship.
Outside of like just a coach-student relationship. Yeah.
Yep. And then he would, you know, occasionally throughout the week, he would, you know, talk about his day and, you know, the things happening in his life with his kids, with his wife. And he would even talk to me about his current marriage and his relationship and how things are going. And
this, how old were you then?
I think it was still 15, 16.
Yeah.
So definitely minor. Yeah. So, yeah. So I was in high school at this time, and I was just like, okay, well, this guy's trying to be a little bit more friendly with me. And there was a point where I confronted him multiple times and was like, hey, like, this is kind of inappropriate. I don't feel comfortable with this, you know? Like, I think that, like, what would your wife say about this if she was, like, talking, if she saw us talking like this, you know? And he was like, oh, no, like, this isn't inappropriate. Like, we're not doing anything, you know? You're just a friend to me, and, like, you're like a younger sister, is, like, what I remember him saying, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was, we'll just cut to, like, the point. So there was one training session where I went in and we were working on some jiu-jitsu stuff. And at this time, the red flags have gotten so bad that he was starting to flirt with me and comment on my appearance and just talk to me in a way that was just totally inappropriate. And we went into the gym. And he opened up the gym, and I walked in, and we were on the mat, and we were training together, and he started to kind of, like, softly touch my leg or, you know, just, like, give me, like, a gesture of, like, trying to bring me down. Yes, totally. And it got worse, and that's when the assault happened. And the door of the gym, I didn't actually realize this until, so kids' class was at 4, and we would get in at, like, 3, right? And right around 4, you know, kids would start to show up and their parents would start to, like, try to open the door to get in.
They'd be looking at me, I was just talking to one of our instructors who was on the phone. She said, there's someone out there, like, I'm on the meeting, though. So, relatable.
So the door's all tinted, so they can't really see inside, but I didn't realize he had never done this before. He actually locked the door. So the door was locked, and the kids were, like, trying to get in, and he looks up, and everything is kind of happening, right? The assault is happening, and I'm, like, frozen, don't really know what to do, and I'm, like, seeing the kids at the door, and he finally, like, gets up, he goes into the bathroom, and he's like, you open the door, and you let the kids in, and you're going to teach the class. And so then I taught the class. And we get to the end of the class, and he tries to give me a hug, and was like, hey, I'm going to leave, like, I hope you're okay. Hope everything is good with you. And, like, I'll see you tomorrow. And that was pretty much it from that day. And then more kind of happens. But
yeah, geez. So then, like, did he continue, like going through it and being a predator, essentially? Yeah, essentially, he's a predator. Yeah.
He actually ended up quitting that day from the gym, and he left and went to a different gym in
Was there more people?
Yes, and he was teaching a kids class. So I didn't really come out with anything immediately. I was so in shock that I didn't really know.
Yeah, you're like a teenage girl. You're trying to figure out what you're gonna do and who you are, what just happened, like your feelings and shit. Like, add in a adult man who's deciding to do stupid
on you and
predatory shit.
Yeah. And at this time too, like, personally in my life when I was still developing, a lot of people talk about, like, daddy issues and shit, but I'm sorry, I don't know if I can. You can absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't really have, like, a father figure kind of growing up in my life, and so I looked up to my coaches as that mentor, as that person who could give me that guidance. So I was looking at this guy as, like, older brother or somebody who could give me that guidance. And when things started to cross and merge into different, like, you know, uncomfortable lanes, then, you know, it conflicted with that entire relationship. And I didn't really want to exploit to my family or to my friends or anybody what was going on, because one, I would have my mom would have pulled me from the gym. And that was my one safe place that I could go to. That I could
thought was a safe place.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, until that kind of stuff.
Right. And then two, like, that was also a mentor to me that I looked up to. And so that would break the friendship that I thought I had in my mind to that person specifically. Right. So there was a lot at stake if I came out with something. And number 3, my parents would also be like, you know, I was worried about the shame.
What's crazy about it is the fact that you even, like, when you look back on it, like, I was thinking about my parents and all this stuff, and it's like, what you went through as a teenager, what just happened? That's fucking heavy, Calie.
Yeah.
Like, and for, like, that's part of, like, thanks for sharing this too, because it's, you know, you think about it, and, like, what you're telling me, I'm like, damn.
Yeah, it's very real. Like, this shit happened, and it's a psychological game. Like, they know, because, and I'll go into this in a little bit, but how he left the situation, it was almost as if he had done this multiple times, and he knew what the outcome and the result was going to be, and he knew he was going to be able to get away with it, and he knew what was going to go through my head in order to keep me in this cycle of not saying anything and for nothing for him to like
continue the cycle of
yes,
abuse.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So
he quit, left. He started teaching somewhere else.
yeah, so he started teaching somewhere else, and I found out he was going to this gym and he was a kids instructor, a kids jiu-jitsu instructor actually. And then he started adding on to the adult Muay Thai program that was over at this gym. And this gym did not last. I don't know why, but it just didn't last. And I don't know kind of what happened, but, so.
Can speculate.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So a couple years later is when I decided to report him. And I went through like an investigation. CPS was called and went to his house. He called me personally.
When CPS showed up? Wow.
And then
while they were there? Do you know?
No.
Okay.
I think it was after. Yeah. It was sometime after, but he calls me and he's like, CPS showed up. Do you know why? Like, do you have any idea why? And I like just didn't say anything. And I'm thinking kind of like, okay, now is my time to try to catch this guy and get the justice that I like always, wanted or needed or whatever. So I'm on the phone with him and I'm recording the conversation on another device in my hand. And I'm trying to ask all these like questions that pull different answers out of him.
Thank God Arizona's a one-party consent state.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like for those that don't know,
right.
Like here in Arizona, you can record somebody as long as one party knows and is consenting to it. You can record the conversation.
Yeah.
So continue.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm recording him and I'm trying to extract this information to try to get him to like own up or confess to what he did. And he goes, I don't know if you're recording and I don't know who's there listening, so I'm not going to say anything. I didn't do anything to you. And then I just feel so defeated, like mentally and exhausted because I'm like, I'm not going to get an answer out of this guy and he already knows, like what's happening right now. So I was like, listen, what you did to me was really like confusing at the time for somebody who's developing, but now I'm totally aware of what you did. And all I want is for you to say, I'm sorry. And so that's when I was like, okay, hopefully I can get him to like confess and just say like, I'm sorry, even if he doesn't use the exact words of like what happened, if he can just apologize.
Show some fucking like, you got trying to take accountability for
like that would be enough. And but I'm thinking more about this in like an investigative side, right? Because
you got to take in use. Yes.
Yeah. So he says, I'm sorry. And then I was like, thank you. And then I ended the conversation and I stopped the recording. So that day, I went back to the investigator and gave them the audio clip, and they told me they couldn't use it.
Why?
They just said that it wasn't enough evidence to actually frame him as a
suspect, right? That confirmed that he did it. Just saying, I'm sorry, could have been speculate and defend.
It could have been so many different things. Yeah. So in my mind, though, that was clarity enough for me to be like, he knows what he did was wrong, and I got something out of it. But I didn't need that. Like, I don't think anybody that's a victim of that really needs that from somebody who's done something terrible to them. Like, you don't really need an apology. A lot of people want an apology, but that's not going to take back what happened. And you have to learn how to channel that and move on from it and do something with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their way of processing trauma.
Totally.
Too,
for
right?
sure. Yeah. It's nice to have that. It is nice to have like an apology and I'm sorry. But I think when I got it, at least me personally, it didn't really do very much for me.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get something out of it.
Yeah. So what ended up happening next?
So the case was closed. The investigators stopped working on it. And then I came out to my parents about it. And that was the first.
Your parents didn't even know by then?
Nobody knew. Nobody knew about this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man.
So I think it was probably 5 years before I said something to my parents.
You sat on this shit for 5 years, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people sit on it for 30.
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, I mean, like, the PTSD can be so real that you just don't really, like, you can't go there. You can't get your mind there.
Yeah, because you get stuck, and the people are like, why are you acting so depressed? What's wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
And mine was more of this, like I said, this psychological game that happened. Have you ever heard of the Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so that's kind of like, yeah. Well, for this, I don't know. Like, go look up the case about it, because what actually happened with the Stockholm syndrome, this woman gets kidnapped and basically abused by these like men, and she's tortured for a really long time, and she ends up psychologically like her brain develops a coping mechanism where she falls in love with a person who is her user. Yeah, so her brain is not comprehending that it's actual abuse. It's a coping mechanism to protect yourself. So
survival.
yes,
survival.
exactly. So in extreme cases like that, like those things can happen, and that can even happen with somebody who's a groomer, or somebody like this person, for example, who's grooming a young child to believe that there's some kind of like coercement happening, this like relationship, and gets what they want out of it, and then it becomes something totally different when the curtains open. So that's ultimately what happened. And the 2 years that I didn't say anything, it took me to process what actually happened, what the reality of the situation was. Yeah. So.
Damn. So, there was other victims. Did this person ever get caught?
I don't think so.
No. You just found out that there was more victims?
I did find out that there was another victim, and she was kind of like a mutual friend of mine, and she was dealing with some like harassment from him, not any like sexual assault, but like a harassment type of case.
I wouldn't leave her alone, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, you're talking about red flags and awareness on this. So like, yeah, obviously inappropriate contact with like phone number. Like I see, like this is me in martial arts school.
Yeah.
Parents are sometimes way too comfortable. They'll drop the kids off and leave. I'm like, there's no one here. Like that's like, hey, you trust people that much? Like, first of all, like for us, I'm like, hey, that's great, but also like, no,
right,
please, like,
right,
hang out, like being like, we want you to be engaged with the kids, like with your son or daughter's training, and see them. I get if you have to step out for 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, but just to.
You can't just leave them in the hands of, they're not babysitters. Your child is going and to this school, right? It's just like a school, where they're learning something, they're learning a technique, and you should be just as involved, with like the teachers as coaches, as the coaches that are in that facility, and learning about the education of like what your children are, also learning.
Also to be the parent there when the coaches are hard on them.
Right.
Yes. Like,
yes.
It's one of those things I tell parents, like, hey, don't coach your kid. Like, you don't really. I understand you're a parent, you want to help them.
Right.
But the best way you can help them is to just be there.
Right.
And say, I love you when they're having a hard time.
Yeah.
You know. So.
At the parents screaming from the sideline.
No sideline coach, not allowed. Yeah, on the mats. You gotta get on the mats. Yeah, we gotta do that. You gotta be on the mats. You gotta go through the programs. That's that way.
Yeah.
To get back on it too is like, contact for kids. So like,
you should not have a child's phone number.
No.
I think even social media, absolutely no. If they're a minor, no. Like, I don't think that you should have them on social media unless it is a parent-ran social media account.
And I'm seeing more of that these days, which is great. Sometimes they'll explicitly say parent-ran on there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hopefully they didn't have to put that because there's some weirdos.
I mean, yeah, but also, like, yeah, I mean, they should know who they're,
talking to.
Yes, exactly.
One of the things we do, we use this app called Spond. It's free.
Spond, okay.
SPOND. So, let's say we do like a junior leadership program. The parent is in there, so any message the kid gets, the parent gets it too.
Oh, that's awesome.
So no matter what contact, they'll get it. They'll get a text message with it, what it is. That they don't always have.
That's a green flag.
Yeah, so that's like one of those things. I shout out to my friends over at Kovars for hooking me onto that, because they've been around kids martial arts a very long time.
Okay.
So it's like I was trying to figure out how do we communicate to the teenagers, because teenagers were talking like they want to be grown up.
Yeah.
Right. And you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that are going on, and it's a very vulnerable time. And these predators that are like this take advantage of that. They take advantage of that.
Totally.
If those opportunities,
right.
Unfortunately. So
yeah. So I guess some other like red flags, like look out for coaches. And this doesn't always mean something, but you should pay attention to it. Yes. Yeah. is if a coach is spending a little bit more time with one athlete than the others, right? And, sometimes in the case of like athletes want to develop their skills and their training, like, yes, it's okay to do like private sessions and stuff like that. But if the athlete is constantly getting attention and praise and, being isolated or compared to another athlete, like that's something to take into consideration too, that you should like highly look at for sure.
Yeah, question them.
Yes.
Yeah, ask, hey, how come we're doing more time? Like, what's going on? What did I miss? Right.
And
this is why it's important for the parent
to be there and to be able to see. Yeah.
And I not to like guilt any parents that can't.
Yeah.
Right. I get it, but also be thorough. One of the things that I was talking to you about is background checking. Even as like I know like if somebody hasn't been convicted for a crime,
right,
it won't necessarily show up.
Right.
But just like, ask, because that means that the place you're at is at least aware that this is a possibility of things that we're being with the public.
And also coaches, that adds value to like your gym, and people like, that's a good green flag, another one,
Flag, right? So and it's crazy, like, our chief instructor is like, man, you're actually the first place that's ever actually background checked me. Right? And just in general, but it's because it wasn't the norm.
Right.
Like 2014, I wasn't getting background checked when I was working at places. Nobody was. Yeah, it wasn't the normal thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not required.
I mean, hardly at any position or any job do you know really, other than like dealing with like if you're a therapist or you're dealing with kids or something, is there background checking facilities? But even at martial arts gyms, I mean, how many martial arts gyms do you go to and the coaches are just like, a month in or something, or
yeah, they're helping out.
Yeah.
Well, even us, like we have like our instructor development program. For them to do that, they have to background check. Like we only, because it's like, hey, anybody that's could be in a potential position of power or influence over somebody, you have to.
That's so smart.
Yeah. So and then for our staff, we do it every 2 years.
Yeah.
So.
And coaches should be aware of those different types of behaviors too. So if there's like anything going on that you're seeing that you feel skeptical about, like don't feel like you're the bad guy bringing it up. It's better to say something than to not say anything at all,
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's, what's hard is there is people that do want to do good and do want these kids to excel. So like be aware of it. It's like you said, it's not always like when they're giving it extra attention. They might just, hey, your kid had a really hard day. I'm giving him extra today because he really needs it.
Right. Yeah.
Or hey, you guys are doing the competition coming up. So we're doing a little bit extra. We're going to spend an extra 5 minutes after class. I want you to see what they're doing.
Yeah. And that open communication is awesome, Yeah.
Okay. And that's something, it's hard to, I get it, for some coaches, the hustle and bust, especially if you're a one-man show.
Yeah.
Or one man and a helper.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But like this goes overall into like the overarching, like, yes, it's men and women, but I would say that more likely it's going to be a male committing this crime on a female.
Right.
It happens on both sides. Like I was just talking about the boy who was molested by his karate instructor. So being a woman in combat sports, there's a lot to it. We're talking about like, I've seen some crazy shit, like DMs that I talk to women, like, you should see some of this shit. Like I've seen,
get on my phone. Yeah.
I've seen, it's like, dick pics, asking for feet pictures. Will you come beat me up? Like, I've had people ask me that, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll get it. So like, I'll be.
It feels so flattering. I just.
18 years old. I had I have plenty of gay friends and nothing against gay people. This guy was being predatory. He would show up at my work. There was a weed doctor next door. He'd come over and just stare in. And I'm like, is there anything I can help you with, dude? I remember at some point I just told him, I'm like, hey, like, you gotta get the fuck out of here. I was gonna beat your fucking ass. And then he kind of like, cause he was stunned, he kind of realized, he's like, I have a really nice house up there on the hill if you want to come hang out. Cool. I'm like, no, bro.
Like, that's not.
I was 18 too at the time. I was like, no, dude, no. But like, I can only imagine. I can't even begin. Like, I think most guys, we can't even really imagine what that's like. Like for me, even imagine like that felt. I was like, oh, I feel like a piece of meat.
You feel ashamed.
I'm not trying to downplay it at all, but I'm just like,
feel like you gotta like go like scrub your skin off or something.
Yeah, right. It's one thing to get a compliment and all that stuff. Like I get it, like,
Right.
but tastefully and respectfully.
Right. Well, when you
Right.
don't want it, that's it's a different.
Or it's just like, please stop, and it just keeps coming.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
shed some light for the obviously got a big male audience, but shed some light, and there's a lot of coaches that listen to us and stuff too.
Yeah. Like shed light on
On women in combat sports. Like how is like
Yeah.
okay, so you're 15 years old, your martial arts instructor he looked up to assaults you, and then you're still training martial arts. You're around a lot of men, right? There's a lot of women at Golden Era too. So there's nice quarters there, like Bob says. My baddest dude it was
this girl. Yeah, toughest guys in the gym are the girls.
the girls, yeah. So, like what was that like overcoming and being in that space still? Like once things started settling with you, like you said, there's probably some PTSD.
That's a
stuff, yeah.
long. Yeah. So I'll try to shorten it so it's not too long. But I left that gym and I went to another gym where another similar situation happened. That was with me and another woman, and then we ended up kind of connecting and becoming like best friends out of the trauma that we went through. And then we went and traveled, and I went and competed in IKF, and she was my corner woman, and we just did it to say like, oh, well, like we're just gonna do it together.
In Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was all right. And then after that, we kind of just fell off, and we're still friends and we're still okay, but we just took our separate ways. And I ended up going to the lab for a couple years. And so I tried to get myself back into jiu-jitsu I was going through my healing journey at the time. So I thought that by doing jiu-jitsu, it was going to heal this side of me of like taking it back,
Like being in control.
Right. Yeah. Being in control again. But that's not how it went. So I ended up competing again in jiu-jitsu. I had a really hard time getting back on the mats and training again, just because of the amount of trauma that I went through and was trying to heal from actively during that time. And I just realized that it wasn't for me anymore. Like the jiu-jitsu wasn't for me anymore. I loved the striking. I still wanted to compete. I competed at the lab for the lab a couple times in striking. And then one of my fights I ended up losing while I was at the lab. I competed in Muay Thai. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to fully invest into Muay Thai. And that's when I made the switch to Golden Era. So and during the time that I was at the lab and transitioning from between IKF and then Golden Era, I was in therapy. I was doing like EDMR therapy. Have you heard of EDMR?
Yeah, no. So explain what EDMR therapy is.
So
doesn't know.
It's pretty intense psychotherapy, and there's multiple ways to do EDMR therapy.
EMDR.
Yes, EMDR. Yes. And so there's different ways to go about doing it. How I was doing it, I was wearing some headphones, and then I had 2 devices in my hand. So a ping would go off in one ear, and then the device in my hand on the opposite side would vibrate, and it would go back and forth. So it's a bilateral stimulation of the brain where it pulls trauma that's suppressed in the subconsciousness, and it brings it to the surface. So
you do your therapy session and then they do this, right?
Yes, yeah.
So I did something similar. I did brain spotting. It's supposed to be the evolution of EMDR. So then they have it where it switches back and forth, and it can be like through a headset. And then you have a vibrate, like it's like these pulse things that vibrate slowly. He has that vibrate slowly from left to right, as the ocean sounds switch from left to right also. So it does the same thing, bilateral stimulation.
Yeah.
But they also take a pointer and they'll get you to the point to start talking about your trauma, the shit that you're going, your shit.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. A little bit less invasive, it sounds like, because it, with the music and stuff, it's just a little bit more like.
Oh, it wasn't.
Is this
it wasn't really music.
Involved? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was just a swishing ocean sound.
Oh, okay, all right.
And it was to get it to go from left to right, and you would talk to the point where you get really worked up.
Okay.
Right, where you're like feeling your feelings, right? And then because they would do it with because your eyes and your nervous system, it's like the evolution of it, because they're saying, like you're saying, your subconscious, so that's your nervous system still. So then what they do is, I guess, when you go through this trauma, your body makes imprints based upon where you're looking at. in the plane, and there's certain points where you can look at in space and where your eyes are at that can open up more of those nervous system pathways that created the trauma.
That fight or flight reaction, basically.
Yeah.
All those things.
And you just sit there and you stare at that spot.
Yeah.
So I had a full-on like hallucination while I was talking to my therapist. I was talking about this. He's all, yeah, that's pretty normal actually. So I was like, that's normal. Like, that was heavy shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's it changed my life.
Yeah. What did you get out of it? Like, what was your?
Oh man, I learned that the way I was raised was not normal. was not normal. That there was a lot of crazy shit that went in there, but like knowing my family's history and like what my parents went through, I'm like, they did the best they could. You know, you can't put it on your parents. Some people they point the finger at the parents, but it's like, hey, your parents do the best they can.
Right. Everybody's gonna make mistakes.
But you still have to learn how to overcome that and learn why you are the way you are, so that way you can work on it.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's like, you know, going through, you know, what you went through is like that's part of what shaped you into who you are.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
And I'll say this: I want to stand across you from the ring. My knee's been bumped up.
I know.
Yeah, I'm bummed. Yeah, it'll happen. So I'm getting imaging done on it.
We gotta get you to optimize, and you can come in and take care of your needs.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing it and
imaging and stuff. And
I have a, you know, anybody that does you know, not to get too off, but is man, what is it, peptides?
I do. I'll send you a couple.
Yeah, I know some people that did it. I have a friend that does it. I'm like, dude, I feel like you're like the guy who's peddling drugs, trying to sell me some HGH next time. Damn. But
oh god.
Go like to kind of go through this, you know, overcoming this, and you're still involved. And, you know, you were saying this is the first time you shared the story.
Yeah. So, I mean, after all the therapy, I learned a lot, just like you, like out of the therapy, and a lot about myself and my upbringing. Like I said, like when I didn't, you know, have fully like a full family really like supervising me and there with me at the time, I learned a lot from that situation, and kind of learned a lot about myself and who I am. I think though, like, because martial arts shapes you in a way where we go through so much like hard shit, we really have this grit mindset where we know how to push through things and get through.
Die and go.
Yeah. So like the stuff that I went through, I was able to, because I developed like such of those like characteristics through the martial arts world, I was able to allow myself to heal, but then continue to like improve and do better and show up as a different version of myself every day, and not like keep myself in this victim mindset. I think so much of like our sport, because we deal with the highs of highs and lows of lows, the true fighters keep showing up and don't stay in that like victim mindset if they do go through the lowest of lows. And I carry that with me into what I experienced too. And so that was a huge part of me overcoming what I did. And you know, I also, like, out of that had a vision to help other women and help other people that have gone through something similar, or who may be dealing with something similar, and try to help them, you know, or empower them. So
just feel like, hey, you're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone, and like these things are very real and they can happen, but this is how to, you know, be proactive about these different situations and feel empowered, because so often like sexual abuse and these different like lines that can get blurred and crossed, it can leave people feeling unsure of how to handle those things, and like they're in a lot of gray area, and so they go into those situations with lack of confidence as far as how to handle themselves and how to like put down boundaries. And I think that people in general really struggle with putting up boundaries. Like myself, I didn't really have the confidence at the time because, one, I was a minor, but I just didn't have the confidence to tell that person, like, this is uncomfortable, I don't feel right with this, I'm going to go tell an authority about this. But I feel like the more that we can embrace people that these situations are very real and that they happen, the more that we can empower people to like stand confident in themselves and like the things that they need to do in order to prevent those types of situations from happening. So yeah.
It definitely, the boundaries thing is interesting. Did you grow up religious?
Well, kind of not really.
Yeah, you didn't really study. Didn't end up becoming his thing. So
Yeah.
I guess it's something that religion teaches a lot more that I've come to find out with boundaries. That's why a lot of people gravitate towards it because it sets firm and you're assertive with your boundaries. So that was one of those things I took away from the therapy stuff too. It was like being firm and assertive with your boundaries is very important. Also, I stopped drinking. I didn't crave drinking anymore afterwards. Yeah, but it was one of those things. Wasn't like a heavy drinker, but I would drink recreationally or sometimes. But I need a drink, right?
Yeah.
After that, I'm like, I have like no desire.
So the cool thing about boundaries too that you're kind of mentioning right now is that like boundaries is not just saying no, right? Boundaries is honoring what your body is trying to tell you, the different warning signs that your body's trying to tell you. So maybe for you, for drinking, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is like I feel like shit when I wake up or if I drink or whatever, so I'm not going to do that thing, and that's a boundary. Like I
don't know if it's getting old, but if I have just one beer, I'll wake up with a headache the next day. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not worth it. I'm like, I like the beer, so I'll drink non-alcoholic beer. Yeah. Like if I wanted to have a beer
or something.
Yeah. Like for me, I don't want the alcohol.
Yeah. It's poison. It's not supposed to go in our body.
Yeah.
Arguably, but
but I think that like, when you're going through your trauma, it becomes like a coping mechanism also. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of what I was using some of that for without even realizing it. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people do bury it's like addiction, self-abuse. Yep. We see it. I know you see it. You see fighters who it's like, yo, dude, like, do you actually care? Give two shits about yourself? And probably not, because they're going, like you see it, like the boxers and the fighters that come from literal shit and end up being some of the best. Yep. But then they never, and then they end up spiraling off, go to jail, prison.
And that's a whole nother topic of like identity attachment and having to separate yourself from that and then learning what you need to do to like fulfill all of your life. You know what I mean? Because you get to the top and you have this identity of like who you are as an athlete or as a fighter. And then when you don't have anything outside of that, it was like, you spiral into those things. But yeah, it can definitely come up in the victim, like in the world of, these different like situations that end up happening to us too,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how could they connect to you?
So I have an Instagram called Rise of the Rebels, and that is the Instagram that I use to try to empower other women and talk about these different types of subjects. I have a lot of educational reels that I'm posting, and then I just hosted a women's national like women's month, basically just highlighting other women in the Muay Thai community. So if you want to reach out to me, definitely do that there. Otherwise, my personal Instagram is @thegolden_girl_az. So
The Golden Girl AZ. I'll make sure to put that down in the show notes as well. If you're listening or if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. Definitely go check it out. Probably won't be the last time to be on here, I don't think. Nah, probably not. But yeah, if you have questions for Calie and you guys shoot them in the comments or whatever, I'll make sure to shoot over to her as well. And for anybody that's on here too, you can always give a call to the hotline if you want to give a shout out, you want to share. 805-456-3316. You can always call us, text us, leave a voicemail, and we'll play it out on the show and everything too.
Thank you, John.
All right, thanks.
All right, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Pu'u Muay Thai Podcast. If you enjoy the content, go leave a review over on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Give us a rating. It means the world to us. Also, if you want to be a guest on the Pu'u Muay Thai Podcast, or if you just want to shout out to your friend, go check us out at podcast.puumuaythai.com. You can submit to be able to be a guest on the podcast. You can submit what you want to talk about. Also, if you want to just give a shout out, there's a button for that too. Sawadee Kop.